Hello animal lovers and welcome to our YouTube channel. We are thrilled to share with you this powerful and moving story of a family who stumbled upon a small and shivering dog, lying in the snow on a cold winter evening. Little did they know, this chance encounter would change their lives forever. This video will take you on an emotional journey, and what they found under the dog's body will leave you speechless and teary-eyed. A real heart-wrenching story with a happy end. You don't want to miss it. It was a cold and snowy winter evening when John and his family returned home from the evening church service. They bundled up in warm coats and scarves and set out into the falling snow. As they walked back home, in the corner just around their house, they noticed a faint movement out of the corner of their eye. They were not sure as to what to expect, especially under these snowy conditions. Initially, the family thought it was a wild bear, so they started to back off. However, suddenly they heard a familiar sound, something similar to a dog cry. Curious, they followed the movement to a small clearing, where they were shocked with what they saw. There, they found a dog lying in the snow. At first, they thought the dog was ready to die, as she was covered in snow. But as they got closer, they saw her chest rise and fall, due to her shallow breaths because of the extreme cold. She was small and scruffy looking, and she appeared to be in poor condition. John and his family were instantly filled with concern for the dog's well-being, and they reached out to touch her, but she growled and bared her teeth. They backed off, realizing they needed to be careful around the wild dog. But still, they wanted to help her. John and his family knew that the dog was frightened and in a state of survival mode, so they approached her slowly and cautiously, speaking softly to her in an effort to soothe her. They also moved slowly and carefully, so as not to startle her. John was carrying some leftover sandwich, so they offered her some food, which she initially refused, but after a few times, she started to take small bites of, which helped to build a sense of trust and comfort with them. Slowly she allowed them to touch her, and they used this opportunity to reinforce the idea that they were there to help her, not hurt her. With a lot of patience, John and his family were able to build trust with the dog, and ultimately able to wrap her in a blanket and bring her back home, where they laid her on a warm blanket in front of the fireplace, to begin to recover from the cold and her poor condition. The dog seemed to relax a bit, but still seemed to be in poor condition. As they began to examine the dog more closely, they noticed that her fur was matted and dirty, and she had cuts and bruises all over her body. They also noticed that her ribs were sticking out, and she was terribly underweight, which led them to realize that this dog had been through a lot. As they were examining her, they noticed that the dog had started to whine and tremble. At first, they thought it was just because she was cold and scared, but then they noticed something strange. The dog's belly was moving, and they were completely shocked with what they discovered next. They were horrified to see that the dog was hiding puppies under her body. They were horrified to think that this poor dog had been out in the cold and snow, trying to keep her puppies alive. They immediately knew that they needed to help her and her puppies. They fed the dog some warm broth and began to groom her. The snow might have continued to fall outside, but inside, there was warmth and love in the hearts of John and his family. The next morning, John called the local vet, who came to check on the dog's condition and gave necessary vaccinations and medical treatment to her and the puppies. Over the next few days, the dog began to recover. Her fur became shiny and clean, and she began to gain weight. Her puppies, which were only a few weeks old, were also healthy and strong. They all were really happy to be with a loving family who cared for them. They family knew that they couldn't keep the dog and her puppies forever. They reached out to local animal shelters and rescue groups to find the dog and her puppies a loving forever home. In the end, the dog and her puppies were finally in a safe place, surrounded by people who loved and cared for them. John and his family felt happy knowing that they had made a difference in the lives of these innocent animals, and the experience also taught them about responsibility of taking care of living beings, and also the importance of being kind and compassionate to all living creatures. If you love this heartwarming tale and want to see more like it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We have plenty more stories of animals who have overcome adversity and found their happily ever after, and we can't wait to share them with you. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. See you in the next one.